Hello and welcome to Art, Creativity, and Well-Being. This is the show and the newsletter where we are always working to help you feel super creative, inspired, and empowered to make what you want to make and bring into being what you want to bring into being and really be who you wish to be. Thank you for being here with me. It's interesting because today what we're doing is we're shifting a little bit from we're 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 melding. That's what we're doing. We're mixing a newsletter, a written newsletter, with a recorded video and audio that will be able to go out into the podcast apps. You know, where people get their audio, where you get yours. I'm sure it'll be there because um, by the miracle of like modern technology, the podcast that I have been creating for 10 years in a different platform or that was published on a different or housed on a different platform is now housed here in this platform. So it can go right into your inbox if you subscribe, and I will put the link for subscribing in the show notes if you're not a subscriber yet and you would like to be, meaning that you would like these to show up right in your inbox. Or if you are already a subscriber in a podcast app, keep doing that because what's going to happen is you'll get these coming right to you. So or right to they'll show up right in that in the feed of those shows. It is searchable now under art, creativity, and well-being. So because we changed the name when we moved it over, so I did anyway. When I say we, I mean I. So today's newsletter, this is the second. These things almost don't matter anymore, it seems like, because of the way that all of this has kind of happened. But anyway, I've been creating art, creativity, and well-being as a newsletter for nearly a year now. And I the first season was basically playing around in written format. I didn't do a lot with other formats, but I did weekly write I wrote something to the people who subscribed. And then I started creating videos for folks. And then when I just migrated the podcast over I think about 2 weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm recording this in mid-May of 2025. And simultaneously to creating a podcast, I'm also creating in art, creativity, and well-being, the Substack platform, a written newsletter. And today I decided, what was starting to happen was it was feeling heavy to create as a written piece. Like I think I use speech recognition software and I'm incredibly grateful for it. At the same time, sometimes it is really nice to have a rest because it is speaking a different language. Like it is the way that I make what I wish to show up on my screen be there or move around digitally if I want to open a website or if I want to comment somewhere. It's like basically a whole nother language that I've learned over these years of not being able to use my hands and I think the idea of creating something that is called a newsletter, but that is in video or audio form, just felt really fun and different and fresh. So I'm continuing. We have three more editions in this particular season of our newsletter, which is about staying creative even in times of disruption. It's really become about the essentialness of that for our own well-being, and also what we will create and what we create is really effective at helping people feel better. People feel empowered, people feel safe, people feel peaceful, right? Um, People helping people laugh. Sometimes people create the funniest things and they help us, laugh, which is also really important. So I wanted to bring you a quite a short episode today, uh, um, and I wanted to bring the idea of collaboration in art or collaboration in creativity. And specifically, I thought I would share with you some of my favorite collaborations. Um, and then I was curious to hear yours. Um, like so much fun is had when people collaborate. I mean, if we're thinking of comedians, right? Like, um, there's ooh, the people who make Knives Out, who make the Knives Out movies. The first Knives Out movie was like something that just feel like it got me through the pandemic. Like it just, I love that movie. I still watch it. I still return to it. And that was a massive collaboration, as every, movie is. This one I felt like the acting troupe, like the group of people who did the acting, um, you can just feel the camaraderie and the good feelings of that collaboration. And so that was an important one for me. There's a band called the Traveling Wilburys, and that's a fun, I feel like that's a really fun collaboration because each of the members of that band is involved in their own either solo project or had been in really really successful well-known bands. So for example, George Harrison is in the Traveling Wilburys and came from the Beatles, right? He'd been a Beatle. And Tom Petty was one of my favorite singers ever. And, he had his own act called Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And Roy Orbison is from a different generation than what I would listen to, but Roy Orbison was very well known as a musician and a singer. And Bob Dylan, of course, is like Bob Dylan. So those are the people who make up the Traveling Wilburys. And they collaborated in a really interesting way. These four folks decided they wanted to work together. And they found, or somebody found in each of their calendars, the same 7-day period. And so what they did was they spent a literal week together. And they came up with some of the funniest and best and funnest and most moving, I would say, music of that generation. And that's a pretty cool collaboration, right? And I love that they identified it, decided they wanted to do it, and then made it happen. Um, and all that music was conceived of and recorded in a week. Wow, that's really cool. Um, and then I've been thinking about for some collaborations that I've been involved in or am involved in. One that comes to mind is um, I have a very dear colleague named Patricia Berlode. She's an executive coach. She works in corporate, or she works with people, with executives, in corporate settings typically. She's also she's a leader in a nonprofit organization that her work is in grants, like choosing who this organization based in Florida will grant money to, like what nonprofits will they support financially to bring the work that they're doing out about. And um, so Patricia, like she has both a coaching aspect and a sort of nonprofit support background, and I find that incredibly inspiring. And she, working with her, what the work that we are doing together is we're collaborating on a new paradigm for leadership called kind-hearted, purposeful leadership. And Patricia basically has helped me understand myself as a leader. Like I used to sort of not believe that I was really a leader. Like um, I just had all these kind of stories and this negative self-talk in here. And what our work together has really shown me is um, leaders can be any way, basically where um, they're bringing support and they're bringing help for the people that they lead, right? Um, so I do that from a what we Patricia and I sort of jokingly call a right brain space, which means like it's totally nonlinear, it's very creative, it's a flow sort of situation, right? And Patricia works from a left brain perspective. And so she's very logical. She was a scientist for decades. So she was like a high energy physicist for a very, very long time. And so she thinks in formulas and numbers and linearity. And what's really fun is we end up at the same places. Like, well, she's bringing the sort of quote purpose, and I'm bringing the sort of quote kind-heartedness. Not that she doesn't have any kind-heartedness, and not that I don't have any purpose, but we each show up in these from the heart or from the head kind of ways that really meld very well together. And so that's been an amazing collaboration and it continues. We are ping-ponging off of each other's newsletters in LinkedIn. We're creating a book together. We are having some fun for sure. And that's one collaboration that I have that I am joyfully involved in. Um, I'm involved in another one where I just did a workshop actually at a restaurant. So the owner and the chef of this restaurant and I partnered up to bring people, and the event planner certainly. The three of us kind of partnered up to bring people a wonderful experience of we called it Cafe and Courage. And so there was a delicious like high afternoon tea with tea with amazing like sandwiches and other sort of tea-like things, and also delicious, desserts and I facilitated a conversation on, you know, what's courage? What someone thinks that courage is for themselves, and how have they shown courage and been courageous, and um, what might be created from that for what they'd like to bring about for their futures. And the neat thing about this, we did not plan it this way. We decided that it was going to be a pretty expensive thing to do if we really wanted people to be invested in being there. So we made it, we gave it a kind of, I think what to a lot of people is a pretty high entry point, not unattainable, but pretty high. And it happened to fall on the Saturday of Easter weekend. So then what we had was people really having to like clear their calendars and make space for it. And they did. And they showed up with their full hearts and like um it was just an incredible collaboration. It was so beautiful to be a part of. And I still have there's a part of it where I'm looking over at the whiteboard that I have over here on my desk because I still have what they shared they felt was courage. Like it was such an incredible collaboration from that standpoint, right? So doing something even when you're scared, taking a leap of faith, doing something you feel is right, even if others disagree. These are to keep going, not giving up. Like there's a whole bunch of really cool things on the board over there. So that was a collaboration. And uh, I think I'm curious where you or what collaborations you notice or enjoy, whether you enjoy being in them or whether you enjoy hearing or seeing, experiencing others' collaborations. And um, I think really what I'm curious about too is, are you in any of them, right? Like, so, um, which really I think comes down to like, do you think of yourself as a creator who can collaborate with other creators? Um, recently I went to a an artist like gallery exhibit, a photography exhibit. And I noticed I was so curious about this. The photographer kept referring to himself as not a professional. He would say that he was an amateur and he had done some workshops and things with quote professionals, but that he didn't see himself as a professional. And I found that fascinating because I mean his work was incredible and the mindset of I'm an amateur felt like it was him. Really felt had this feeling like all of his language and the way that he approached even the conversation and even sharing about his work was I'm not a professional, like uh I'm just an amateur here. And it felt like it wasn't serving him to support those of us who'd come, to the gallery. um and it's not a judgment, it's more just I was very curious to hear how someone would talk about themselves. And I think it comes up in this context because only when we give ourselves permission to quote be creators can we then come from that place when we're collaborating with others. So I was curious if you think of yourself as a creator and how, and if you yourself are in any of the collaborations that you have been reflecting on as we've been together today, as we've been talking here. So I'd love to hear either in the comments of this post, or if you if you receive this into your inbox and you want to share, it would be amazing to hear from you. And I think that's actually where we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you for being here. Next week, I believe what we will do is we will continue with our video podcast newsletter, and we're going to be discussing art or creativity that is aligned with our personal values. Something that I've been reflecting a lot on, and I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. So, thank you for being here with me. I love that we are here together. I love that there's this really interesting world where newsletters can be videos and podcasts, and yeah, just it's great to um, feels like this is a beautiful collaboration of its own. Wishing you well, and I have a great week. And my intention is to be back next week with another one of these. So we'll see you soon. Bye bye. Thanks for joining today. Bye bye.